Some people think the only way to success is sitting in an office 9 to 5, but I'm here to show you the real winners. We scale while we explore.
Welcome to Zurich!
To be honest with you, I didn't know anyone in Zurich, not one person, except for one business contact I met online. And that's very important for today's episode because a lot of people romanticize travel. They don't talk about the social courage it takes. And when you land in a city where nobody knows your name, your brand becomes your introduction. And along the way, I had some beautiful signs keeping me grounded and anchored me into this timeline of change. And before I came off the plane, I had to ask myself this one question. How do I move in a city that values quiet confidence? Because, honey, Zurich is the standard. It's etiquette, it's strategy, everything combined. You're probably thinking you met someone online. Okay, now what? Well, I'm on my way to lunch. This lunch wasn't about closing a deal, it was about alignment. Travel etiquette rule number one: do not treat every meeting like a transaction, especially in cities like Zurich. Reputation here actually compounds very slow and trust builds quietly, which means they are not open to just welcoming anyone in their circle. Okay, it takes standards, levels, and connections, and I'm here for it. There's just something about being in curated and intentional spaces, and I'm going to give you a list of things I've learned. So get your notebooks out. This is your refining list. Be on time. Being on time is better. Being early is even more better. This is why the brain builds trust through consistency. And this is about pattern recognition. Consistency actually reduces cognitive load. So, guess what? If you arrive early, prepared, composed, you're actually signaling to the other person that you have a high status trait neurologically. And so, in cultures like Switzerland, time is of the essence. This is where you actually equal reliability. Reliability equals trust. Now you are planting seeds in their mind, showing them that when you are open for an opportunity, when they have a door open for you, they're actually going to take it and contact you for that next step. Are you still taking notes? Because I'm about to drop some 2007 gems. You need to dress aligned with the culture and not overperformed. You see, there's a marketing principle and it's called mirroring. And when I was in the fashion industry, like over a decade ago, humans are wired for similarity bias. This is what I learned in the fashion industry. We trust people who feel familiar, who look familiar. And if you overperform your look, your tone, your energy, you actually create social friction. And friction increases mental effort, making them overthink and doubt things. And mental effort actually reduces likability. So you don't want to dominate the room at first, especially when you're entering a realm where nobody knows about your business or brand. You actually want to harmonize with it. Now, if you feed off of energy like I do, you're going to want to be mindful of this. You do not want to overshare. Oversharing is kind of like emotional leakage. When you share too much too fast, you actually force intimacy before trust is even established. And the brain resists forced intimacy. It feels like boundary invasion. And you got to let people earn layers of you anyway, right? You want to pace. If you know there's a vibe, there's an outcome that you feel good about, it doesn't mean pounce, it means pace. Take your time. Next, don't oversell. I always say sales is not selling. Overselling triggers resistance. And psychological resistance is when someone feels their autonomy is being threatened. Like they can't make their own choices on their own because you're there like really trying to manipulate their choices. And the brain pushes back automatically. In high trust cultures, the fastest way to lose credibility is to chase the close. Instead, you want to plant seeds. You want to have a very mindful pace here. And here's a marketing principle: priming. This is where you introduce an idea lightly. You just let it sit. Let them mentally rehearse what it would feel like to work with you. Just by your presence, just by your energy, just by your tone, how you talk, how you sit, how you process things, the brain needs time to stimulate. When they stimulate themselves benefiting from you, they actually just close themselves. One thing I noticed from this meeting that really benefited the outcome was leaving space. Silence is neurological gold. I allowed there to be silence with a total stranger that I just met in person. When you leave space, you allow the other person's prefrontal cortex to engage, to process. They reflect, they project. And if you fill every silence with something and or just fluffy comments, you actually rob them of that process. And this is a real power move. If you want to test the waters, don't pitch, just ask questions. How does that land for you? Would something like that even make sense in your world? These are some things I asked. You're not closing, you're actually collaborating. Like, what does that look like with us working together? What do you think? And they'll say something like, oh, yeah, that's interesting. Or, yeah, I've been actually looking to hire someone like that. That's actually a challenge for us. Or, hey, I know someone who actually needs this thing. That's your entry point. You don't sell, but you're here to understand. Do they really want you in their ecosystem? Do they see you fitting in long term? That is where you want to be because reputation compounds slowly in Zurich, Switzerland. And if you force an entry, you actually just lost a really great connection. So I'll leave you with this last take. The most magnetic person in the room is the one who doesn't need the room. They're not there trying to leech off and like suck every information and idea and transaction and connection. They're not this networking zombie. They're there, they're filling up space, they're enjoying the ambiance. And to be honest, you don't have to even talk to anyone. You can just be there and actually make your presence known where people are actually trying to understand who you are in the long term. And it's a true story. It happened to me. I went to a networking event and I didn't say a word in the room because I honestly just was there to observe and see the how people interact, mingle, things like that. And 2 days later, someone found me at my hotel and they sent me an invitation to attend a workshop. And that's another video for another time. So let's go to lunch. This lunch was with a friend of a friend who knew I had a friend back home who knew someone who was living her best life in Switzerland. And over dinner, we talked about what cities are known for. And Zurich doesn't chase attention, she says. It protects its standard. And that made me think, what are you known for when you enter a room abroad? Are you known for clarity, for chaos, depth, desperation? Are you flashy? It's really important to understand how you're perceived. So, here's some notes from our conversation I see benefiting you. How to build authority in a foreign room.
Bonjour. Hey.
So, when you walk into another room in another country, nobody knows you. No one knows your history, your wins. No one is there to vouch for you. So you don't have a reputation yet. You have a presence. And presence is actually built faster than you think. The first thing is to be clear, not long or impressive, just clear. Have one simple sentence ready, not your resume, not your childhood story, unless it's called for. But this is what I do. That's it. If people have to work to understand you, they won't, because confusion actually kills authority. Clarity builds it more. Second, you want to have a calm energy. This is me when I walk in the room, I find. Authority is calm. If you walk in trying to prove something, people feel that. If you walk in rushed or nervous or too fast, people feel that too. But when you're steady, when you're listening, when you're present, when you're not trying to win the room, that's attractive. People trust the calm, especially in cities like Zurich. And this is a perfect time to remind you, silence is okay when you're talking to someone you just met. You just don't want to have that awkward silence like you just forgot what you said. I want you to be intentional, be aware, take deep breaths. And as someone's talking, I want you to take deep breaths and just ask yourself, how are you doing? What's going on? Of course, pay attention to what they're saying as well, because you are going to need to answer some questions. But I fall into saying, don't perform. Don't try to sound impressive. Just speak from experience. Instead of saying, I help people grow their brand, say, I help founders stop reacting and build systems that actually last. You see how that sounds? So you don't want to use ChatGPT or any LLM to kind of give you just bland statement. You want to humanize it as well. Simple, specific, real. The more specific you are, the less you have to convince yourself. So, as you're actively listening, you want to listen specifically for shared values. This is the easiest way to plant that seed and position yourself in someone's mind. It's about asking the right questions. What's been your biggest challenges here? What's changing in your industry right now? When people talk about their world, they relax more. And when you listen properly, not waiting for your turn, you actually stand out because most people don't listen, they just wait to speak. And last, don't chase. Follow up within 24 hours, but you want to do it in a short, clean, and refer to something they said in the conversation. Not, hey, great meeting you, but I've been thinking about what you said about X, Y, and Z. That was interesting. That shows you were present. Authority abroad isn't about being the loudest or flexing what you did back home. It's about being most grounded. You don't need the room. You can add to the room, right? So that is the difference. Now, if you're watching this and thinking, I need to move differently, I want to be the standard when I step into rooms, that's exactly why I built the Refining Suite. I help over 500 founders, creatives, and teams sharpen their positioning, build systems that last, and grow with clarity instead of chaos. And this is globally, worldwide, with government, universities, private sector. We do it all. So if you're ready to refine how you think, lead, and build, join me inside the Refining Suite. We'll unpack everything you have from where you are to where you want to be, and we'll develop a blueprint for you to get there. There's going to be a time in your life where you're going to do something, you're going to learn a skill, and it's not going to make sense. And I urge you to do it. When I did international etiquette and protocol, and I did that certification, I am just so happy to be here in Switzerland, knowing exactly what to do. I feel so at peace. I feel so at home because of a decision I made. This is how you prepare yourself, your future self, support yourself along the journey. Don't wait for opportunities, make it happen. Now, am I the only one that loves to peek into bathrooms of beautiful spaces and just see if they really care about me as a guest? I feel like if the bathroom is not done up, then they don't really care about me. They didn't spend the extra money, they didn't be intentional, right? And Zurich, even this is what I'm here for. Details matter. Travel exposes you. And if you're grounded, it shows. And this space is giving just that. And what you want to do is, in your own brand, is to consider all the small things you're not considering and put more effort into that. It's the best thing you can do for your clients and customers because you definitely know I'll be back here again. Being the gold standard means when no one's supervising, you still operate at that standard. I also just want to have a comparative moment from Zurich to Miami. I stayed at the Fiena, and here it was at Barolac. And you know what? The quality is the same. And so this doesn't mean you have to be in a specific location to operate in a certain way. This doesn't mean you have to wait for the people around you to catch up. It means you can set the standards regardless of your environment. Because at the end of the day, you want people, your people, to come back to experiences like this. At the end of the day, I look at it like this. It is your memory that is the most important thing you'll have as a human. And if you can add value to that, then why not do that within your business and curate an experience just like that? So my friend, she is so sweet. She was serving me. She was really showing me the etiquette of Zurich real time, and I really love that. I love people like this, intentional people. It's a marketing tact, which is called mirroring, right? And when she did that, I felt like home because that's what I would do with people. So I want you to reflect on your values, reflect on your how you treat people, and see if that aligns with your brand, with your business, with your product. It's always good to be the memory and allow people to just enter the room effortlessly, leave the room effortlessly, and have that seed planted in their head about you.
I love how empty the streets are.
Now we know why the streets were empty. I was actually shocked. I was like, why are the streets empty? Turn the corner, follow the music, and realize that Zurich has rhythm. You feel it when you're in the streets, you feel it in the quiet, you feel it in the way everything moves with intention. I didn't think I'd have time to sit and listen to an orchestra here. That's one of my favorite things to do when I travel. I love to find music, sit, observe, let it move through me, and just create some anchor memories. And yet, there it was in the middle of the street, right on my timeline. That's the thing about being a deliberate creator. When you stop forcing outcomes, when you stop comparing timelines, when you are not shaken by who exits the highway, who speeds past you, things meet you where you are. You don't chase every opportunity, you refine your pace. You stay in your lane, you trust your progress, you make peace with your timeline. And when you do that, the right conversations appear, the right moments open. This trip showed me refining is not about control. I mean, I entered an entire continent not knowing anything about anything. That's when I realized it's about alignment, it's about nervous system regulation, it's about being present, knowing that what's meant for your growth will intersect with you without chaos. Let's reflect for a moment because on this trip I had so many anchor signs for me. Three is one of my numbers. What is your anchor? What are some signs that you constantly see and you don't really have meaning for it, but it's just a part of your life? Those are something you should pay attention to. Highly recommend you follow that intuition when you see it. Being present is the presence of life. Next time on Work and Wander, Zurich, Switzerland. I switch hotels 3 times, and each one teaches me something different about movement and standards and ultimately myself. I take a boat ride with a friend and have the kind of conversations you only have when you're not in a rush. I step onto a golf course for the very first time because sometimes refinement looks like leaning into the new, even if you're not perfect at it. And I spend 3 quiet days in the mountains finishing work and have a content day as well. I'm not escaping work, by the way, I'm finishing it. We have a self care moment, very impromptu as I explored the streets because building a legacy doesn't mean sacrificing experience, it means designing your timeline so both can exist. Work, wander, refine. See you in the next chapter.